find out if I actually know what I'm doing, or if I'm just making it up as I go along. Thank you for joining us. This is a video that I wanted to do, and recently someone that I've been enjoying getting to know said it'd be a good idea. That's at least 2 people who think it'd be a good idea, so it must be, right? What I wanted to do was kind of talk about a little bit of a personal note. And I know normally if with YouTubers and everything, you're supposed to wait until you have a following to make an emotional video. I don't have a following yet, but that's okay. What we're going to talk about is social anxiety. Not just social anxiety in general, but how MMOs have assisted me in dealing with social anxiety, how they have led me from someone who would avoid the park because I didn't want the possibility of a social interaction with someone playing sand volleyball, to someone who was an officer in a guild, who enjoyed raiding, being part of things, putting myself out there, talking to people, complete strangers, talking to all of you lovely people, even though I'm not talking to you directly right now. It's something that provided a safe structure for me to explore who I actually am. And if you have dealt with social anxiety, I think you know what I mean. But for people that don't, what I'm talking about is the person you are and want to be, but the person you feel like you can't be in social situations because you're worried or concerned about reactions from everyone else. And it's very easy to say, well, those reactions don't matter, but it's much harder to, in practice, actually think that and internalize that. And it's something that I still work with and live with every day. I'll be, terrified of the comment section of this video, of course. It's one of those things that doesn't really go away, but you find ways to manage it. And one of the ways to manage it, going back, is finding ways to be social where you feel comfortable and safe. Because that's really what it comes down to, right? It's this feeling of safety. What I'm getting at when I talk about a safe situation to be in, a safe social situation to be in, is the parameters you've set for yourself where you are in some ways in control. I think part of social anxiety, at least for me, and I cannot speak for everyone, I do not intend to speak for everyone. Everyone deals with it and feels in a different way. But the way that I have felt and dealt with it is needing to feel a exit, I guess. Needing to know that I have some control over not just how and when I can leave, but over how much of me is seen and viewed. In real life situations, that has basically been not much. I didn't want to show anything about myself, especially not with strangers. It takes a very long time for me to open up to people that I can look at across directly, right? It takes significantly less time for me to do that online. The reasons for that are many, but what I can go back to with MMOs specifically is in games let's stick with one game. Let's talk about one specific game. Let's talk about EverQuest. EverQuest is a PvE focused game. That means that you are working together towards a common goal with people. And when you're working together, there is a need for communication. When I started playing EverQuest, that communication was through typing. So right there, I've got this set of protections to protect me from being seen for who I am, right? So I've got the game. So you're not seeing me, you're not seeing this. You're seeing, with all my own insecurities. I have tons of insecurities about everything you're seeing on screen right now. But when I was in game, I was a dark elf shadow knight or a ogre warrior. I was whatever I was at that time. That is what people saw. They did not see me. Not only that, but because we were typing, They didn't hear me either. They didn't hear my voice. They didn't know who I was. I was protected in a sense by some of that anonymity. I protected myself by creating this different persona, this different character. What I found out in time is that through MMOs, I found out who I was. I found out more about myself. I realized that at times I can actually be decently funny. It's not often, it's few and far between, but I can make people laugh. And I like that. I like the being able to make people laugh because, it's fucking fun to do that. But it's one of those things where social anxiety in a situation where I didn't have those controls, I might think of something that, I think this is funny. But then all the gears would start turning, be like, but what if it's not funny? What if they don't like it? What if they don't think it's funny? What if everybody looks at me? What if they stare at me? What if it causes an issue? What if it makes someone upset? In an MMO, in a game, I can type it out. Oh, LOL. They thought that was funny. Okay? Or type it out. Move on. It's over. Done. You don't have to worry. You don't have to deal with the immediacy of the reaction. You can let it marinate, and you can control the delivery a little bit. As things progress, we eventually got to voice, which was a whole other thing. I still remember back when I was playing the first progression server on EverQuest, I would specifically find guilds that did not require TeamSpeak. That's a really sad thing to say, right? It's like, I would find guilds that would not have me speak because I just wanted to focus on typing, because that was where I felt safe. I'd gotten to that point where I could communicate well that way. I could type. I knew who I was. I could be funny. I could be not funny. More often not funny. I could be skilled. I could be shitty. I could help. I could mess things up. All the things that come with being in a social situation, especially in a situation where you are working towards the same common goal, but without the real world issues that come along with it that are hard to put into a box if you don't experience social anxiety because they sound silly. It's just how I have come to realize that a lot of the problems I face on a day-to-day sound silly to people that don't feel them. And when I really think about them, I think of them as silly. Because in a sense, they are. That doesn't make them not real. That doesn't make them less impactful or less hurtful or hard or difficult. Hard and difficult are the same thing. Anyway, once you can start to master those situations in one small area, in a group of 6 people in EverQuest, 5, because you're one of them. I can math, okay? Just not well. Once you master it there, then you can join Raid. 54 people currently in the game. Used to be however many you could find. But yeah, so 54 people. So you've gone from 6, 5 to 54, 53. I'm not counting myself, but you get the picture. And then you go to your guild. More social situations, more interactions, more people. But you slowly start to master those small interactions. And by master, I'm not saying that every situation ends in a good way. I'm saying master in the terminology of you are okay with that situation. You can do that situation. You can get through that situation, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, whether it's drama, whether it's something funny happens, whether your jokes die, whether you fail in an encounter. You can process that and get through it. You control your reactions, which dealing with social anxiety is probably, at least for me, one of the most difficult things. It's the lack of control over your own reactions. It's tough to realize that you are failing in your own mind. You are failing before you try. And that's kind of how that works out. But then you go from text, right? You go from text to voice. And that's a whole other thing. You start to realize that you can't parse out your thoughts the same way. Even this video, I'm editing the shit out of this video. Because I say things that don't make sense. I say dumb things, and they just kind of pour out of my mouth. And there's gonna be lots of different edits in this to make it sound like I knew what the hell I was saying from the beginning. But I will leave this part in to make a point. You go through each one of these steps and you gradually learn them. You take hold of them. And you carry that into other situations. I can say without a doubt that playing MMOs as a kid led to me being able to, in work, do public speaking. It led me to, in college, public speaking. It made it so group projects were not such a terrifying prospect. Because what is a group project but just a group in an MMO? You're working towards the same common goal. Everyone benefits from everyone's shared labor. By working together, you get a better grade or you get a level. Same thing. Long story short, we should play MMOs in school, right? No, that's not what this is about. The point is, by taking those incremental steps, at least for me, it helped me learn to better deal with the things that were the most difficult for me in life. I'm not saying that MMOs solved my social anxiety, because that's bullshit. I still deal every day with social anxiety. I'm lucky that I have a very strong and supportive wife who also helps me every single day with social anxiety. I'm lucky that I have friends that now know about my social anxiety and help me in that. They understand. I have been just blown away by how supportive people have been learning of this, even though they don't understand, because it's difficult to understand. How do you explain to someone that you have a battery that runs low because you have to try and fake being someone you're not, because in your head you've already gone through all the worst case scenarios? And if you go through all the worst case scenarios, you're always going to see something terrible and you're not going to want to do it. So the only way to protect yourself from those worst case scenarios is to go the safe route, to be the safest version of yourself, to not take any risks socially. The point is, if you struggle with social anxiety, I do think MMOs, video games in general, can help with that. At least they can show you the benefits of social interactions and why you should try, and why taking some risks, taking measured risks, is worth it. It's tough to do. I'm not going to pretend it's not. I still remember even recently struggling to speak up on Discord. It happens. It's like a reoccurring issue, but it happens less now. I'm doing this video. I never would, 2 years ago, I sure as hell didn't think I would do a video like this. That's hell no. Especially not where you can see me. No way. Absolutely not. But incrementally, I have gotten there. And you can take each of those steps in safe spaces with games and things like that. There are ways that you can bridge who you want to be, who you are, and who you feel you can be. Didn't mean to get as preachy on this as I did, but it's kind of what I do, I guess. If you fear social situations, if you always go to the worst case scenario, the best way that's worked for me is to find something like an MMO where you can experience that worst case scenario and realize that it's not that bad. And realize that more often than not, it's not the best case, it's not the worst case. It's gonna land somewhere in the middle. Because honestly, everyone has their own shit going on. Everyone has their own inner monologue. Everyone is worried about the same kind of things, just maybe not to the same extent. Everyone is always going to be more worried about themselves. And that's not talking about like narcissism or anything like that. Everybody's just going to be more worried about themselves than other people because we are more aware of ourselves. Especially now, and I don't want to get freaking old man over here preachy, but especially now when you look at social media and things like that, you don't see the bad things, you don't see the bad days necessarily, you see the highlights. If you compare someone else's highlights to your lowlights, it's always gonna look, you're always gonna look better, more on top of shit. But that's just not how it works. So give yourself a break. Take a breath. Slay some fucking goblins. Have fun with people. In situations where you are in control of the situation. That's my 2 cents anyway. EverQuest helped me become who I am. It's one of those things that it allowed me to grow. It allowed me to find who I was and who I wanted to be and who I could be if I was not scared to be that person. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to some dude talk about MMOs and social anxiety, which is a subject that probably doesn't sound like it goes together very well. But it did for me. And I hope this helps even one person. I did my job. So thank you. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked what you saw, please like and subscribe. If you didn't like what you saw, there is no other buttons. There's certainly not a dislike button. So I apologize and you can just move on. You know, there's a bunch of YouTubers I could recommend for you. You know, like Jazza is pretty damn funny. Go if you like art, go try Jazza. Corridor Crew's great. Pantheon Plus, that's another good one. Yeah, so there's lots of other ones, but you don't have to leave a dislike, I promise. I also stream live on Twitch. You can find me there, RedbeardFlynn, twitch.tv/RedbeardFlynn. You can find me on Twitter, @RedbeardFlynn. Find me on Instagram, @RedbeardFlynn. Basically, @RedbeardFlynn. That's probably me. If not, it's an imposter, and we'll get rid of them together. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Love y'all.